welcome everyone to Stock Talk and Technical Analysis for the S&P 500 on September 24th. So if you were not able to catch my live stream earlier today, I went live when I saw volume coming in and there's a potential trend change to the downside that is significant. And that's why I go live, because I like the markets to make the move first before shifting my short-term perception, to bearish. And that is what we have right now. Bears have taken short-term control. If you are not looking at the charts today, let me zoom in on SPY for this year. And this is the daily candle made today. Now, it's significant because I talked about in the past how SPX, this is the S&P 500 index, that if we get below the 20-period moving average, that is a warning sign. This is, in my opinion, a warning sign. Until we can get above the high of this candle, this is likely to continue lower. All right, with all that said, let's go back to the SPY chart. And actually, let me just show you. So I talked about the Facebook group, right? And how sometimes I give a little bit of snippet of my thoughts that I usually give to members, but I give it to the Facebook group sometimes. And I posted this on September 18th, and I haven't changed anything else, but I just said there are some short-term warning signals for broad markets. While the trend is bullish, we have to be cautious of a possible reversal. Our group will continue to monitor. So this was on September 18th on the Facebook group, and that was on this day here. This was the FOMC day. So now we're down here. We have to look for support levels, right? Because the long-term trend is still bullish. So where are our support levels? I think everyone will notice that because this was a consolidation area, 294.21 is a support level. That is a near-term support. And if we come down there, maybe it will act as intraday support, but more likely than not, we'll have two of the major moving averages. Those will be the more significant levels. And as I had said in the past, while we were pushing lower, and this is what we're doing right now, we're initially pushing lower, is that as we move lower, the support levels are more likely to hold. It's kind of an opposite thinking, but it's just that as we push lower, the 200 period moving average is expected to hold stronger than the 150 period moving average. So, and 150 is stronger than the 50 period moving average, which means that should we get down there, 290, which is the 150 period moving average, should act as support, maybe intraday, but should that break, we would look for the 200 period moving average at around SPY 280-266 to act as support. Now, we're going to the similar logic as we had done back in August, right? Because the major trend is up. But if we see something more develop out of this, okay, we can visit other possibilities. But for now, the major trend is still up. Okay. But initially in the short term, we're going down. So no doubt about it, if we can't flip the short-term trend back to bullish at the 200 period moving average, something else will be developing and we will visit that at that period of time. Okay? This is just kind of as objective as possible while still giving my thoughts into the markets. It's really analyzing it as objective as possible given what the markets are showing us. Okay? So let's take a look at TVIX looking at volatility. So this is something that's interesting, right? We talked about how TVIX, or volatility, has satisfied a lower low. And then we would be looking for a lower high. Now, similar story here. We'd be looking for a lower high compared to 2170, which was the high of this candle. And therefore, expectation continues to be that we would be below 2170. If we get a spike over 2170, we will have to revisit the charts and take a look at what else is developing behind the hood. Okay, but for now, this is still a series of lower highs and lower lows. Expectation continues to be rejection below 2170 at some point in time in the future. If this amounts to something more, like I said, if this trend, if the weekly trend starts flipping to bearish for broad markets, then we'd come and re-explore other possibilities, okay? So, but no doubt about it, today was a bearish signal. Bears have taken the lead on the daily time frame. Crude oil. So going to crude oil's chart, we can see that it's coming back into the moving average. Is that a positive or a negative sign? That's a pretty negative sign for crude oil. If crude oil is to go in conjunction or with conjunction with broad markets, if broad markets cannot reverse, crude oil will have a very difficult time reversing as well. So they will go hand in hand, which means that crude oil, should markets continue going lower, crude oil can go lower and break below the moving averages as well. So some cautionary signals in crude oil. So be careful here as well. Let's talk about your near-term support level. So you have your moving averages down here. The 50-period moving average, $56, should function as support. But if we break below it, that's, again, problems up ahead. Natural gas. We talked about how natural gas was on a parabolic move to the upside, and it broke the trend. When the trend breaks, it continues lower. And this is exactly what we're seeing right now. Natural gas, and its inability to push above the level of 2.658, is on a downtrend. This has reversed to the downside until we can close over that level. As a matter of fact, you can see I have a resistance level over here as well. This is a short-term resistance, 2.577. It's not that noticeable, but we actually got rejected off of that area today as well. So natural gas still is moving lower with your near-term support, which I'll draw in actually at 2.234. So I'm going to draw this in and remove this line here. So those are your support levels. Okay, and then 4/GC gold futures. Gold is climbing, certainly with more fear in broad markets. But again, we're at resistance. This is a line, and I said that it can move back and forth around this area. So my prerogative here is that I'd still be looking for this area as support. It can consolidate back and forth, but I'm personally not really interested in gold. You might be, but that's what we're looking at. So let's take a look at some of your comments made on the last video. All right, so hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Once again, I highly appreciate everyone coming in and tuning in to these videos. Space Ghost, been here since the beginning. I've realized that. So AMD is trading sideways for now. If I were you, I'd add before next earnings. They are selling out of their new gen chips everywhere. Yeah, well, in terms of their chips, I think AMD has really taken a stride with their Ryzen chips as well. And this was, I think, a year ago or so, or a little bit longer by now. But AMD's chart, once again, just pointing a word of caution. If markets are not going to push higher, AMD is unlikely to push higher as well. Okay, so similar with all the FANG stocks. We talked about Facebook, right? Facebook took a hit today. Why? Well, all the FANG stocks took a hit. So even a stronger stock like Facebook is going to take a hit. And without markets reversing to the upside, all the tickers will take a hit, including AMD and all the FANG stocks. Okay, so just be careful. Steve, good to see you back. Thank you. Tesla or Amazon? All right, I get to pick, huh? So let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazon FANG stock right here, broken down. So this was a bear flag and a bear flag continuation pattern to the downside, breaking below the 200-period moving average or the red line. This is likely to continue lower. and you have to be very cautious of this signal. If you actually take a look at the MACD for Amazon, can you see how we're below the 0 line and we're coming on lower as we had done in December? Okay, and this is the initial move to the downside. So again, that paints a more cautionary signal for broad markets, right? If Amazon can't rally, if the FANG stocks can't rally, then the markets are going to have a very tough time rallying as well. So where are your support levels for Amazon? Well, there is a support down at 1681. There's another support back at 1593. That's still kind of far away, showing more downside potential here. 7-day options. Great analysis as always. Good to hear someone state the most obvious, which is we haven't seen confirmation to the downside. Now we have. And I think you point out to some interesting thoughts about the VIX or the VVIX as well, and potential moves to the downside. So good analysis. I think you're quite accurate because the past few days and last week you were talking about how the markets could move up towards all-time highs rather quickly and then get a snapback effect just as quick. While it wasn't as quick as we'd expected, like you said, we're getting the snapback effect after kind of making that top that we see. What is that top? This is the top that we see currently. All right, Eric Smith, looks like MACD is rolling over. Also divergent on the MACD, January 2019. Keep an open mind. Enjoy your videos. Keep making them. All right, thank you, Eric, for your comment as well. Divergence on the MACD since January 2019. Ah, okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying, while the MACD is making a lower highs, price is making higher highs. Interesting, yeah. So that's a good way to visualize things as well. Again, I personally don't use divergence, but it is notable that you can see that, you know, in the past 2018 when we had a rollover, we certainly had some divergence as well, and now we have a divergence on the MACD. Yeah, that's notable here. So again, I don't personally use divergence, but it does show, again, more downside potential. And Giants, Rico, hey Kevin, great video. I made over 20% on UWT. I bought MDR last week. I got in at 210 and sold for 250. Have a great trading week. That's incredible. Congratulations on your UWT trade. And MDR 210 and sold at 250. That's amazing. Whoa, that was so you made this trade up here. Good stuff. That's a very difficult trade. That's not a trade that I personally would have taken, because if I saw this down move, I'd be like, oh man, I'm out, because I'm more of a swing trader than a day trader. But if you did that trade, props to you, because that's a lot of cojones to make that trade. All right. I appreciate everyone for watching this video. Have a great day. Stay safe out there. Again, I'll post more videos if I see some more developments. Members will certainly get an update on Discord chat and a members update looking at these technical lines in more detail and how we go about them and how we apply this to any ticker on any time frame. Have a great day. Talk to everyone soon.